Welcome to this very special Coast Division eClinic. Today we're welcoming Fred Sotcher. Fred Sotcher is a lifetime woodworker who in retirement did woodworking with a number of students who came to his house. When the pandemic hit here in California in March of 2020, Fred lost all that capability to have those interactions, and he decided he needed to do something new to keep himself busy and engaged. And he decided model railroading, a childhood pursuit, was a great thing to consider. Today, Fred's going to show us the layout he built over that year in 2020-21 when we were all isolated due to COVID. It's an amazing achievement and really an inspiration to all of us to go do some modeling. Thank you, Fred, for sharing. And with that, Fred Sotcher.
So I've been, I'm used to having a number of students and woodworkers over at my shop, and that all kind of dried up with the pandemic. So about a year ago, I decided I'd like to try model railroading. I've always been interested in miniature models and things, but I've never done a railroad except for my son when he was quite young. So some of the statistics for the railroad are the HO scale. It's all DCC. Era is an early 20th century. The theme is kind of freelance. It's small. It's 7 by 13 feet, so much smaller than what a number of you folks have, I'm sure. It's all built on the tabletop with casters and lift-off doors. The base is 3/4 inch plywood with a plastic cloth over 2-inch insulation board at a maximum grade of 2.5 degrees. And the track height is 40 inches. It's all controlled with a computer, NCE computer or NCE controller with a CTI computer program. So all that kind of junk. Okay, so here's the layout. It's all on a moving, the whole thing is on casters. There's, you notice the doors, those all actually, the panels, the lift-off panels, they're all mounted on French cleats, so they just lift off. 4 of them have cabinets behind them. The rest of them are just access to the underside of the train layout. Since I'm 84 years old, I thought I should be not too aggressive in my plans. So I tried to keep a scale that I thought I could work with. So this is what I came up with. This is the computer control. It's on one corner of the stand. And it allows me to operate all of the functions on the train set and write the program for it. In one of the panels has a shallow cabinet behind it, which I put all the electronic modules in for the various functions. Oh, by the way, I since I'm quite new to this, I very much welcome any comments or criticisms or suggestions or anything else that any of you more experienced people might have as you look over my slides here. I did put in a switch. You'll notice about midway on the left-hand side, so I can isolate one section of track for programming the engines. And the rest are just standard modules. The 4 of the panels have cabinets built into them to store various things related to the train set. The tracks, as is typical, I'm sure, are built in blocks. And there's train signals set up that signal when the track ahead has a train on it. So you can see one of the signals about midway in the layout there. I purchased some fair buildings on um, eBay. Um, I'm a little disappointed. They came with cheap plastic gears and cheap little motors. And I took all that out and replaced them with servo motors, so I can control the speed of each of the carnival events, and I can make them stop and start, letting passengers off and on, so um, they're not just continually running. They're operating all the time. And as they operate, there's music plays from the merry-go-round. So there's audio. There's 5 different audio programs that play in various things. One for the carnival, and one for the signals, and for the station, and so forth. The area is all illuminated with what do you call them, fiber optics lighting, which I just put in, but I was really disappointed in. You don't get much light output from them. So I'm going to take out all the fiber optics lighting and replace it with LED lighting. So if anybody wants a really good deal on fiber optics lighting, I can give it to you. This is the Midway area. And then there's a part of the farm area. And then the main farm buildings. My wife is from Canada, and she was brought up on a farm. And the farm home and barn at her farm were used as prototypes. I scratch built a house and barn and some of the outbuildings based on the design of the buildings in her farm, which was kind of fun. The street lighting here is all LED lighting, and this is in the main town area. I haven't quite got around to starting to age the buildings, and that's what I'm currently just starting to work on. This shows another part of the town, and I'm still looking for a bell for my school building on the far right-hand side there, but I'll find one eventually. These are the kids in the play yard. Most of the buildings use 12-volt grain of wheat lights to illuminate them. And on the buildings, I tried to just illuminate a few of the windows, and so that every window in every building isn't lit up when they're turned on. This is a creek behind the town building where there's still some good fishing to be had, and some people gathering in for a family meeting at one of the homes there. Some of the older kids are taking advantage of a pond behind between the train tracks there and enjoying themselves in the summer. This is the station house. This is one of the places where I have an audio track, one of about 5 audio tracks I have. As the train pulls into the station, and it's announced, and its departure is announced. A final resting place for some of the older folks there. And all the traffic is warned of train arrivals by signal lights. And again, there's another audio recording that goes on that rings a bell back and forth to alert the drivers of an oncoming train. Traffic going into town on the main street is cautioned by not only the flashing lights but gates. I had a terrible time finding gates. I finally found some on eBay. A guy had a whole bag of junk stuff he had used, and I bought 2 gates, and then I hooked servo motors onto the gates to drop them down as the train approached. And then I replaced the little plastic lights on the gates with flashing LED lights. So the gates drop down and then the LEDs flash back and forth, alerting the drivers of an oncoming train. The passenger cars had no illumination. I added illumination to the passenger cars and put in seating and passengers. I found the illumination was much too bright. This is all LED lighting. It was so bright that you can't even see the passengers in the train. So I took it back and tuned it down by putting a resistor in series with the LEDs. So it's much better than what it shows here. I added some tunnels. The tunnel entrances are all scratch built. These are some good old boys manning the still pot. And then I made a fire pit with LEDs using red and yellow LEDs that flash randomly, creating a simulated fire. In a mountain cabin, my son saw the train layout and immediately decided he wanted to live in the mountain cabin because there's no roads going into it. So it's very isolated. So my only effort making a bridge. And I have a train maintenance area. Right now I'm scratch building a water tower that was going to go in the center of that area. I don't have much of a switching yard. I look at some of the pictures of some of the train layouts and see these huge switching yards. Well, mine's a tiny switching yard, but it could be a maintenance area for the trains. And one more fisherman trying his luck. Then our granddaughter gave us 2 figures that simulate my wife and myself. She'd taken from photographs, and she found a place that will make figures for you in HO scale from any photograph. So this is my wife and I on our layout. And finally, since we built the train set during the year of 2000 and part of 2001, we call it Coronaville. So that's my train set. I welcome any comments or anything.
Thank you, Fred. That was wonderful. That was like I said, as I said, kind of in the chat, when I first saw what Fred had done, I was very impressed. Puts a lot of us and our focus somewhat to shame. So gets us all motivated to get something done.
Motivated, it gets us all embarrassed.
Yeah, but sometimes that's the best motivation.
I have a comment concerning the partial lighting in the buildings that you've done there. did you sort of put a divider in the structure, or did you put some sort of
In both
around
cases,
the light source?
there's a office building, and in the office building, I built little enclosures so I could direct the lighting out to certain windows. In some of the houses, I blocked out windows just using black tape over the windows so that only some of the windows were illuminated.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Fred, I've got to say that's an incredible amount of work in a very short time.
Oh, thank you.
You
Thank
really
you.
put the rest of us to shame.
I don't know about that.
Oh, I
I also,
absolutely agree with Earl on that one.
I
Hey,
think,
Fred, I'd like to say that one of the main rules we have is that rule number 1 is it's always your railroad. Rule number 2 is you got to be having fun while you're doing it. And in 12 months, you have done a ton. So you do not have to be humble about that railroad. That thing is beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would like to question a couple of the illegal activities going on in there, like the still.
Right. Understandably.
Behind that.
Did I see a swimmer underwater in the
Yes.
swimming hole? How
Yes,
did you do that?
I took, as you probably know, when you pour the water, you have to do it in just 1/8 inch thicknesses. And so I saw that as an opportunity to put some of my swimmers underwater. So as I was building it up, I laid the swimmers in there and then poured water on top of them.
That's great.
It seemed to work.
so there was one comment from Al in the chat that was, we were talking about bells, and he says bells of all sizes are available on Christmas tree ornaments. And that's right. There's lots of
I
little
didn't think
tiny
about
bells
that.
in Christmas. I keep forgetting Christmas time is kind of this double shopping time because you can shop everything for its modeling value.
Oh, it's Christmas time a site, you're saying?
No, you can just, no, I'm saying it's a time when you can shop not just for Christmas stuff, but for the modeling value of the Christmas
Oh,
stuff.
yes.
Like,
Well, that's
like
a good
the,
idea.
like
Christmas
the
pictures
Halloween
would be good.
trees that look so bad that make great armatures.
Yeah, good. That's a good idea. Thank you.
And if you don't find a bell at a Christmas supply store, it seemed to me that Campbell Models made a nice bell with a crank on it. I think
Okay.
they used to be up in Oregon, I thought.
So there were two questions kind of in the chat that one was if you had a career in electronics, and then two, how did you learn about the computerization technology? So kind of go together, I think, as
Okay.
questions. Maybe.
My career, I'm an electrical engineer. I started an electronic company 50 years ago now. It's been a while. We made electronic safety equipment. My son's running it now. And it was the other question was on
the electronics, on the computer electronics, how did you kind of learn about that?
Yeah, I'm not a programmer at all. I had a programmer on my staff, but I'm not trained in programming, and so it's all quite new to me. So in fact, I told Phil I've never met another model railroader. Phil's the first person I've ever talked to that was a model railroader. So I'm quite new to everything. But I looked at some of the magazines and books, and it talked about computer control, and I thought, gee, it seemed like a good way to operate the railroad. So I got a computer program, and then I've had to struggle with learning how to program it. I found it was fairly straightforward. I had to stumble and fall a few times, but there's a chat room that goes with the program, so there's people that can help you, and it's very nice because you get a layout. You can put your layout on there, and you can control all the different events, the noise and the sounds and the lights and so forth, and have them all timed or operated. Or and yet you can still operate it all manually if you choose to.
Cool. Any other questions, comments?
Fred, the NMRA has what's called the Golden Spike Award, which I think you would qualify for. It's for constructing a layout, and there's certain sets of criteria. So that's something we can look at offline. But from what I see, you're well in the 90 percentile of the way there.
Oh, thank you. I'll look into that. I'm not aware of it. Thank you.
Yeah, Fred, I'm not surprised you had never talked to another model railroader. We only come out at certain times of the day, never the same time every day. So welcome to the fold. You'll find a really bunch of fantastic people in this hobby. And
Oh, sure.
you have demonstrated that the depth of the hobby is just endless, so, and you have embraced, 99% of it. So
Good. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Are you controlling servos through the computer system?
Yeah, I use I use a little servo control board to operate on the servo control board. You can program the servo to operate whatever speed you want and turn it off and on and make it do whatever you want it to do. And then I operate the servo control board with the computer. So all the computer is doing is telling the servo control board to turn off or on.
And are these-
I just prepared an article on servo controls because I found they weren't being used very much in model railroading, and they're wonderful little devices. And I sent a article into model railroading. I don't know if they're going to print it or not, but I sent it into them. But it's if anyone's interested in that, I'm very happy to share it with you.
I think it sounds like a great future event. We'll talk for some point in the future on a Saturday to have a quick little mini clinic on that. I think that's something everybody would probably enjoy learning about.
Oh, good.
Super. No, great place to exchange information. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
What was the program you used on your computer?
It's let me get it right here. Sorry, as soon as you ask me the question, my mind goes blank here. But let me grab it for you here. Oh, come on.
Is it just the regular JMRI?
No, it is. No, it's not.
Oh,
I looked at that
okay.
one. That apparently is created by a number of individuals.
It's an open source.
And yeah, it's an open source thing. And I looked at that. There seem to be several available. Where is the name of the thing? I'm sorry. Oh, it's CTI.
Thank you.
And I found it. They have a program that you can buy the whole system with two of the modules for under $100. So the additional modules, you add on to that, but you can get a starter package for around $100. And I found it very easy to use and very well supported.
Thank you.
Cool. Any other questions, comments? Well, thank you, Fred. That was both inspirational and really cool. So thank you for taking the time to come and talk about it.
Well, thank you
That
for
was
having me.
wonderful.
I enjoyed it.